Today we're going to give you a full refurbishment on a cylinder head.
We're actually here today doing some upgraded bushes.
Welcome back to the channel, my name's Ben, this is Speedy Performance, and today we're going to give you a bit more of an insight as to how we go around a full refurbishment on a cylinder head on the 2.5 Focus engine. So I know on the other videos we've shown you start to finish on some of the big package builds and stuff like that, but we're just going to give you a little bit of a kind of more in-depth rundown on how we go around the cleaning process, replacing the valve stem oil seals all the way through to the cleaning of the head and getting it all painted up ready to install on the engine. So let's go. So the block is all prepared, we've cleaned it up and got it all painted up. We haven't shown you really too much of that because that's something we went a little bit more in depth on the last 425 video we did. This time we're going to show you a few of the other processes that get used in one of our engine builds, including the use of our sort of most recent purchase, which is actually a vapor blasting cabinet. Now, I know we mentioned last time that wasn't something we were going to kind of revisit, but we've had a little bit of change of heart. It doesn't mean we're going to do everything in there. We're still kind of the opinion that, I'll be honest with you, doing the blocks in there probably slows us down compared to our previous methods, only because of the fact, you know, all the stuff, the glass beads and everything else from the machine, just a nightmare to clean out of blocks just because of all the oil galleries and everything. So we're not going to go over on the engine, on the block side of things, but you know, when it comes to stuff like the rocker covers and various other brackets and stuff like that, that's all bolted to the engine, the vapor blaster does just help things along. It gives us a nice smooth finish to paint onto. We're still going to paint stuff, most people still want them painted, so it just gives us a nice base to paint on. But we're going to start on this one, we're going to clean off all the old gasket material with a Scotch Brite roll lock disc on that die grinder, and then we're going to take this over to the vapor blaster. We're going to clean this all up and we're going to get it ready for some etch primer and some VHT paint. Right, got the cover out of the blaster, so you can see it's not 100% perfect in terms of finish, but like I said before, that's not what we're looking for. We're just looking for a decent base to paint onto. So yeah, you could spend a lot longer and get it, you know, all to a kind of perfect finish in the blaster, but as far as the finish, the painting side of things go, this is a good place to start. So we're just going to mask up any areas here now where there's seals or the like go, so that we don't get any paint where you know, the rubber seals and stuff like that go onto. So I'm going to mask them up. I've got some tape on here ready. I've got my little hammer out. I'm just going to tap out these little shapes now. So as you can see, now that this has had some primer and the actual finished silver colour, you can just see how smooth and how clean a finish the blasting gives it. it just gives it that, it kind of steps it up a level, just gives a really nice finish. So that's that done. That's going to be set aside, left to dry until the rest of the motor's built up, which will probably be tomorrow now, but we're going to move on. We're going to strip the cylinder head down, get it all cleaned up, pressure test, vac test it should I say, and get the valves out and cleaned up and everything like that. Probably give it a quick skim and put some new valve stem oil seals in it, so we'll move and do that now. Right, so we're just going to vac test the inlet and exhaust ports just to make sure that these valves are sealing. I'm going to do it quickly before this is stripped down, just to make sure that we're not kind of doing all the work on this head for absolutely no reason. As long as all these are sealed nice, we'll strip this head down, and like I said, change the valves, change the valve stem oil seals and clean it all up. But basically we've got this vacuum pump here with these adapters that we've made up with some foam on, that give a decent seal against the side of the cylinder head. So basically we've got some gauges there. We just go across all the cylinders one by one, make sure we build up a decent amount of vacuum in all these, and we can call that good. We're all good. I did the other side before when Lee was still having his lunch, so I'm not going to do that again for the purposes of the video. So we've been through the same process on the head as we did on the cover. We got all the valves and everything stripped out first, but it's had a good wash, it's had a good clean, all the valves and everything have been stripped out, and it's been through the vapor blaster, so essentially the head itself is ready for paint. But we're going to skim it first so that we don't damage the paintwork. Once we've skimmed it, we're going to give it a proper wash in the hot jet cleaner, and then we're going to actually then put the valve stem oil seals, the new ones in, and we're going to rebuild the head after we've cleaned the valves and everything up. Then we'll mask it all up and paint it. The reason we build it up first is just so that we don't kind of cause any damage to the paintwork once it's all been finished. So the paint will be the last thing before it's kind of ready to go back on the bottom end, as it were. So we'll get this skimmed now and crack on. Stop the machine quickly now after we've done a light first pass. It's quite a good example just to show you on the video of kind of how you can see that there's a bit of bend in it. You can see how the first section there is cleaned up quite nicely, considering it's just the first pass, and the inlet side here is cleaned up as well, and so is the last section of it. But you can just see here there's a low spot there that isn't being caught by the machine yet, so obviously we'll keep going until we've got it all flat, but you can just see there, just how much they really do bend. So. Start by fishing out one of the seals out of the assembly lube there, using the valve stem oil seal pliers, and I'm going to drop it into place, but I'm not going to put it fully on using the pliers because it needs a bit more extra force to get it down into place and seat properly. But basically now I'm going to go back to my special tool, which is just a 12.10mm socket. And the reason for that is that the valve stem oil seal's got like a metal section around the outside, and it drops perfectly into the socket, so we can actually tap that down into place using that socket and get it fully seated properly, and we won't be causing any damage to the soft rubber section just because that fits perfectly on there. So once we've got that in place, I'm just going to drop this socket on here, get my dead blow hammer, and I'm going to tap it down, and I'm going to listen for a change in tone. It'll make a dull sound to start with, and the pitch will increase. You can just tell when it's fully seated basically. That one sounds like that because it's already in. Right. And it just changes tone, and that's when you know it's already in. And I grab my valve, lube that up as well, so that's nice and lubed when it goes up into the seal, so it doesn't snag or damage the seal in any way. We push that up into place, and the seal will actually hold that there while we grab a spring and drop them on top. And then we can slide this across, and basically this clamps it down. Rather than using an old-fashioned like sort of plier type compression tool, this makes life a lot easier. It's, you know, because we're doing these kind of all day every day, anything to make your life easier. So we pull that down, and then we need to grab our collets, which are going to seat into the, I don't know if you can see, they're going to seat into the grooves that are around the valve. And the collets are tapered, and when we release this, the pressure off the clamp here, the spring's going to come back up, and the washer we've put on top is actually going to grip onto them collets and hold it all in place. The easiest way we find to do this is just a nice small screwdriver, a bit of grease, and you can stick your collet to it, drop it into place, and line it up with the grooves, and then you can leave it there. The reason we use the grease and the screwdriver like that is because you can pull it away nice and easy, and the collet actually stays in place. If you use the proper magnetic if you use the proper tool, it's magnetic, and you end up pulling the collet away with you as you're trying to pull the tool away, and it's just a nightmare. So I'll just do the second one. Drop that down there and line it up, and then you can see when I release that, it comes up and it just clamps down on the taper in the washer clamps down onto the collets and holds it all in place. Right, that's the head, all rebuilt, new stem seals, it's skimmed. I've got it masked up now, just using some old gaskets and an old rocker cover that we've kept behind. It saves us loads of time, you know, taping up and cutting round it. So we're going to get this painted, and that'll be that ready to go onto the engine once the bottom end's been built. But we're going to leave this one here for now, otherwise it's going to get into a really big, long, in-depth video again like the last one. But we just thought we'd give you an insight as to our process and how we go about refurbishing a cylinder head as part of one of our forged engine builds. So if you've enjoyed the video, give us a like, and if you're enjoying everything we're doing, just make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, stay notified, and we'll see you in the next video.